Before you fall in love with that dream home, there's one crucial step that you must take first, and that is getting pre-approved for your mortgage. Let's break this down and see exactly what that looks like. So why does a pre-approval matter? This is going to let a seller know that you are actually serious about purchasing their home whenever you're going to look at it, or if you're submitting an offer. They're going to know that you actually have the ability and you can afford to purchase their home. So that's going to give them a little bit of a peace of mind to where they're okay with you looking at the home, that will actually consider your offer whenever you send it. So it's just going to make you seem a little bit stronger of a buyer than somebody who does not have a pre-approval. And honestly, they're probably not going to want to show their home to somebody who is not pre-approved. And another reason that you're going to want to get pre-approved before you start looking is because that's going to tell you exactly what your budget is going to be for your new home. Now, you can get with your lender and you can say, hey, this is where I want my monthly payments to be after everything is said and done. And they're going to kind of break that down, do the math for you, and tell you exactly how much home that you can afford to stick with that payment that you're wanting every single month. And again, this is going to make your offer stronger whenever you do go to submit an offer. The seller's going to know that you have the ability to buy their home, so they will put more stock into your offer than if somebody didn't have a pre-approval. They're probably not even going to look at their offer, especially if they're working with a real estate agent that knows what they're doing. If the buyer is not pre-approved, they probably won't even entertain an offer from that person. And then also the pre-approval is going to give you an idea of where you stand as far as your credit score is concerned. And if there's any issues that you need to fix, then you have time to do that before you actually start looking at the home. And now I know everybody's going to say, well, Credit Karma says this and this. Well, I've got a little news for you. Credit Karma might be wrong. Don't put a lot of stock into that. Whenever they pull your credit, you're going to see what it actually sits at according to the credit bureau. So make sure that you're not putting a lot of stock into what Credit Karma says. Yes, it might be close, but I would say 9 times out of 10, I have a client that tells me, yeah, my credit is at a 800. And then the lender pulls their credit and it's really at like a 740. So just make sure that you don't put too much stock into Credit Karma or any other sites that might tell you what your credit score are. Let's just go ahead and get with a lender and have them pull your credit and see exactly where it's at. Now, side note, when they pull your credit, you've got 3 different credit scores. So they're not going to take your best one. They're not going to take your worst one. 9 times out of 10, they're going to take that middle credit score. So whatever that is, that's what you're going to be scored. And that's how you're going to get your interest rate and all that kind of stuff according to that middle credit score. So you're probably wondering, well, how do I go about getting pre-approved? And we're going to break that down step by step for you right now. So the first thing is, we just kind of talked about it. You're going to want to check your credit score. Okay. You're going to want to make sure that you have at least a 640. That's what I like to tell my clients. 640 and above, you should be good to go. Anything less than that 640 is probably going to cost you a good bit of money to get the loan. And really, that's probably going to eat into your budget as far as what you can afford for a home. And then second, you're going to have to gather all the documents to support everything that you tell the lender. As far as your income, your bills, everything that has to do with your finances, they're going to have to see proof of that so they know for sure that what you've told them is accurate. Because let's be honest, there has been a time or two when a buyer might try to be a little sneaky and say something that might not be 100% true. So they do have to do this little thing where they go behind you and check and make sure that everything you're saying is accurate and that it's true. So just be ready for that. They're going to ask you for some documents and you're going to have to get them and submit them to the lender for them to be able to do that pre-approval for you. And just to give you an idea of what they're going to be looking for, you're going to be looking for your last 2 years of tax returns, your check stubs, anything, again, that has to do with your financing. They're going to be asking you for maybe some bank statements, some W-2s, stuff like that. Should be pretty easy for you to get this information to them, but just know they are going to ask for this. And then the next thing you're going to do is choose an actual lender. Now, if you're working with a good real estate agent like myself, then we have preferred lenders that we work with on a daily basis that we know we will not have any issues. If they give us a pre-approval, we know we're going to make it to the closing table. And so we will get you in touch with those people. Now, I will say this, you are free to use whoever you would like. So if you don't want to use one of our preferred lenders, then hey, that's okay. You can use whoever you like. So I will say this, sellers do like a local lender. So if you're trying to use somebody that's out of state or wherever, a local lender is going to have a little more pull and a little more weight with these sellers. Make sure you keep that in mind, and then we'll help you pick out the best lender for you. And then once you have picked your lender and you know who you're going to go with, then you're going to fill out the loan application, and that's where you will give them all the information that they're going to need to make the decision whether you're pre-approved or not. And then this comes back to all the documents that we were talking about that you're going to have to submit for them to verify the information that you give them on that loan application. And it's pretty cool because they've actually made this very simple. I can send you a link, you can click on it, you can fill out the application, it goes straight to the lender, and then they can get to work on doing the pre-approval and doing what they need to do to give us that letter that we need so we can go and start looking at homes. And then the last thing that's going to happen is you're going to actually get that pre-approval letter. Once we have that pre-approval letter, we're going to know what your monthly payments are going to be, how much home you can afford, and then I can start setting you up on a custom home search, and we can start getting out, taking a look at homes until you find that perfect home for you, and then you decide you want to put in an offer. And then guess what? We've got our pre-approval letter, so it's not going to be an issue. We're not going to have to wait around and try to scramble at the last minute to get that pre-approval done because you did it up front. And now we're good to go. So we're going to write up that offer and hopefully get you into that home that you absolutely love. And just so you know, the pre-approval is going to be good for 60 to 90 days. It's going to depend on the lender, but most of the time it's going to be 60 days. Some of them will go to 90 as well. So just know if you get past that 60 or 90 days window, whatever your lender is going to do, then we'll just have to get another pre-approval. And as long as you haven't gone out and done anything crazy, then it should be no issue to get you pre-approved again and just get a new letter whenever that time comes. Okay, so now you've got your pre-approval letter. There are some things that I'm gonna need you to make sure that you're not doing once you have that pre-approval letter. And the first one is gonna be, don't go financing a car or furniture or any kind of large purchases once you have that pre-approval, because if you do that, it's gonna change your debt to income ratio and you're gonna screw that pre-approval all the way up and it's not gonna be valid anymore. So make sure you're not making any large purchases once you do the pre-approval and you're looking for a home. The next thing is going to be, should be an unspoken rule, I would think, but you'd be surprised how many people do it. Don't quit your job. You've got to have a job to buy a home. So make sure once you get that pre-approval, you've given them your employer information and how much you're making and all this stuff. You can't just quit your job and expect to continue to buy a house. Make sure you don't quit your job, and that way you don't run into any problems whenever it comes down time for you to actually close on your home. And it's not only quitting your job, but changing jobs could also mess you up as well. So just try to sit tight and do what you're doing until you get into the home. And then if you want to make some job changes or quit your job, then I guess at that point you can do whatever you want to. But just make sure before you close on your home that you're not making any big changes financially or with your job. And then the last thing is, don't make any large deposits or withdrawals from your account. I know this can kind of be hard and sometimes people have to do that, and that's fine. You'll just have to explain all of that whenever it comes closer to time to close. So if you don't make those withdrawals or deposits, the cash deposits, you should be good to go. But again, if you have to, that's fine. You'll just have to explain that to the lender, where the money come from or where it went and so on and so forth. All right, so again, just to kind of recap here, you want to get pre-approved up front to kind of take the stress off of you whenever you do find that home that you love and you want to submit an offer. And then if that pre-approval does happen to expire, then we just need to get an updated pre-approval so you can continue to look for a home until you find one that you love. And then throughout this process, you're going to want to make sure that you stay in communication with your agent and the lender at the same time. That way, you know everything is being done, you're good to go, and then we can actually get out and start looking at homes. So if you're thinking about purchasing a home this year, let's get together and have that conversation. You can drop a comment here or shoot me a text or give me a call at 478-888-7808. We would love to connect you with one of our preferred lenders, get you pre-approved, and get you into that perfect home.